He said, I want you to be honest with me, always, about everything. So I was. He asked what I thought about his new project. I told him the truth, gently, honestly, carefully. He went silent, cold, didn't speak to me for 2 days. He didn't want honesty. He wanted a test I'd fail. By Friday morning, I understood. Asking for honesty was the trap. I spent 6 years learning that honesty was punishable, that telling the truth when asked resulted in days of coldness, that the person who explicitly requested honesty would punish me severely for providing it. And the Tuesday afternoon, he asked for my honest opinion, and I gave it carefully, gave it gently, gave it with all the care I could manage, and watched him withdraw completely, withdraw coldly, withdraw in ways that made it clear I'd done something unforgivable. I finally understood that the request for honesty wasn't genuine, wasn't real desire for truth, wasn't actual invitation to share what I thought. It was set up, was trap, was way to gather evidence of my disloyalty, my negativity, my failure to support him unconditionally. I'm 45. I left 18 months ago, and it took me over a year to understand that asking for honesty was strategic, was calculated, was method of creating situation where I'd be wrong, no matter what I did, because lying was wrong and telling the truth was wrong. And the setup ensured I'd fail, ensured he'd have moral justification for punishment, ensured I'd be the one who done something wrong by simply answering the question he explicitly asked me to answer honestly. By Friday morning, I understood. The question wasn't the question. It was the trap. I thought honesty was what he wanted. I didn't expect honesty was what he'd punish. If you've ever been asked to be honest and punished for being honest, if you've told the truth when requested and been made to pay for it, if you've learned that someone who asks for honesty doesn't actually want honesty, if you've realized you were set up to fail a test disguised as genuine question, you already know what I'm describing. You already know the specific betrayal of being punished for doing exactly what was asked, of providing exactly what was requested, of being honest when honesty was explicitly invited. And I'm realizing as I tell you this, some of you have been asked to be honest and punished for it, have told the truth and paid for truth-telling, have learned that requests for honesty are traps. So here's what I need to know. What honest thing did you say that got you punished? Just drop it in the comments. He asked for honesty about blank. I told the truth. He punished me. Let's see if we're all failing the same rigged tests. I spent 6 years thinking if I could just be honest the right way, gently enough, carefully enough, I could tell the truth safely. I was wrong. The gentleness didn't matter. The carefulness didn't matter. The honesty itself was the crime. Now let me tell you exactly what happened. The request, the honesty, the punishment for telling the truth he said he wanted. We'd been together 6 years, living together for 4, both in our 40s, both divorced. Both thought we'd learn to communicate, to handle truth, to be honest with each other like adults. He seemed like someone who valued honesty, who wanted real feedback, who asked for truth because he genuinely wanted to hear it. I didn't recognize that requests for honesty could be traps. Year 2, he started asking for my honest opinion about things, his work, his decisions, his plans. I'd give honest feedback. Sometimes he'd receive it well. Sometimes he'd get quiet, distant, cold for days. I couldn't predict which response I'd get. Started to feel like Russian roulette. Sometimes honesty was fine. Sometimes it triggered withdrawal. Year 3, I started softening my honesty, being more careful, more gentle, sandwiching any criticism between compliments, trying to make truth more palatable. That helped sometimes. Other times, the softening seemed to make it worse, made him say I was being condescending, being fake. Not being genuinely honest, I couldn't win. Direct honesty was too harsh. Softened honesty was condescending. I was failing a test with rules that kept changing. Year 4, he explicitly said he wanted me to always be honest, said he valued my opinion, Said he needed me to tell him the truth, even when it was hard. Said our relationship required honesty. I believed him. Tried to be more direct, more genuine. Thought he was giving me permission to be honestly honest. That's when the punishments got worse. Year 5, month 62, Tuesday afternoon. He'd been working on a new business project for months. Was excited about it. Had invested significant time. Significant money. Tuesday, he showed me the plan, asked what I thought. Said, I want your honest opinion. Really. Told me what you actually think. I looked at the plan. Saw some issues. Saw some concerns. Nothing fatal. Just things that seemed like they needed adjustment. Thought about how to say it. Decided to trust his request for honesty. Decided to believe he genuinely wanted my real opinion. I said I think it's a good concept. I have a few concerns about the execution. Can I share them? He said, of course, that's why I'm asking. I said I think the timeline seems aggressive given the resources, and the budget doesn't account for some costs that seem inevitable, and the market research seems thin for the assumptions being made. I said it gently, carefully, with acknowledgement that these were just my observations, that he obviously knew more than I did, that I might be missing context. Tried to be honest while being respectful, while being supportive, while being kind. His face changed, went cold, blank. He said, okay, closed the laptop, stood up, walked out of the room. That was Tuesday at 4. He didn't speak to me Tuesday evening. Didn't speak Wednesday. Didn't speak Thursday. Friday morning, I tried to talk to him. Said I'm sorry if my feedback was unhelpful. I was just trying to be honest like you asked. He said you were honest, all right. You made it very clear what you think of my work. I said I think your work is good. I just had some concerns about execution. He said you basically said my plan is unrealistic, underfunded, and poorly researched. That's what you think of months of my work. I said that's not what I meant. I was trying to give constructive feedback. He said I asked for honesty and you gave it. Now you know why I don't usually ask. That's when I understood. The request for honesty wasn't genuine. It was test. Test designed for me to fail. Because honesty that agreed with him wasn't real honesty. Wasn't what he wanted. Honesty that disagreed with him was betrayal, was lack of support, was proof I didn't believe in him. The setup ensured I'd be wrong. Either I'd lie and be dishonest, or I'd tell truth and be unsupportive. No right answer. Just different ways to fail. Month 63, I tested it. Small thing. He asked if I liked his new haircut. I said honestly, it's not my favorite. I liked the old style better. His response was cold, distant. Said he should have known I'd find something to criticize. I said you asked for my honest opinion. He said some things you can just keep to yourself. Month 64, he asked if I thought his presentation for work was good. I said it's mostly good. I think slide 7 might be clearer if you restructured it. He got irritated. Said I always find the negative instead of just being supportive. I said you asked for feedback. He said I asked if you thought it was good, not for a critique. Every time he asked for honesty, I was trapped. Say it's good when I had concerns equals lying. Share concerns honestly equals being negative, unsupportive, critical. Month 65, I stopped being honest when asked. Started just saying things were good, great, perfect, even when I had concerns, even when I saw issues. Just learned to say what he wanted to hear instead of what I actually thought. He seemed happier. The coldness stopped. The withdrawals stopped because I'd stopped being honest. Started being supportive instead. Started telling him what he wanted to hear instead of what I actually thought. Month 67, my sister noticed. Said you never disagree with him anymore. You used to have opinions. Now you just agree with everything. I said it's easier that way. She said easier than what? I said easier than being honest and being punished for honesty. She said he asks you to be honest and then punishes you for it. I said exactly. She said that's a trap. That's double bind. You can't win that. He's asking for something and punishing you for providing it. I said I know. That's why I stopped providing it. I just tell him what he wants to hear now. She looked sad, said, "You've learned to lie to keep peace." I said I've learned that his honesty requests aren't genuine. Month 70, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't keep lying. Couldn't keep pretending. Couldn't keep saying things were great when they weren't. Couldn't keep being a dishonest person to avoid being punished for honesty. Month 71, he asked my opinion about something important, financial decision. I knew if I was honest, I'd be punished. Knew if I lied, I'd hate myself. Was trapped. Asked him directly, "Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want me to be supportive?" He said that's the same thing. I said it's not. Honesty might involve concerns. Being supportive means saying it's great. Which do you actually want? He said, "I want you to be honest." I said, "Are you sure? Because when I'm honest, you get cold and distant and punish me." He said, "I don't punish you for honesty." I said, "Yes, you do. Every time I share honest concern, you withdraw for days." He said, "That's me processing, not punishing." I said, "It feels like punishment. It functions as punishment. It's taught me not to be honest." He said, "If you think I punish honesty, we have bigger problems." I said, "We do have bigger problems because you ask for honesty and then make me pay for providing it, and I can't keep lying to avoid punishment for truth-telling." Month 72, I left. Told him I couldn't stay in a relationship where honesty was trap, where telling truth when asked resulted in punishment, where being asked to be honest was set up for failure. He said I always welcomed honesty. I said, "You asked for honesty and then withdrew for days when I provided it. That's not welcoming honesty. That's punishing it while claiming you wanted it." He said, "I never punished honesty. I just processed my feelings about what you said." I said, "Processing that looks like punishment teaches the same lesson as punishment. It teaches me to stop being honest," which is what I did. I stopped telling you truth and started telling you what you wanted to hear, and that's not relationship, that's performance. 18 months out, I'm learning to be honest again, learning that healthy people can hear truth, that real requests for honesty don't come with punishment, that disagreement doesn't mean disloyalty, that concern doesn't mean lack of support, that honest feedback is gift, not betrayal. I'm learning that when someone asks for honesty and punishes honesty, the request wasn't genuine, was test, was trap, was setup designed for failure. That double binds are control mechanisms, not relationship dynamics. That you can't win game where both options are wrong. Here's what I desperately wish someone had told me the first time someone asked for honesty and punished honesty. If someone asks you to be honest and then withdraws when you're honest, if they request truth and punish truth-telling, if they say they want your real opinion and then make you pay for real opinion, if honesty and dishonesty both feel dangerous, you're not bad at being honest, you're in double bind, you're in trap where you can't win, where both options result in punishment, and that's not miscommunication, that's control. That's system designed to keep you wrong, keep you trying, keep you believing that if you could just be honest the right way, you'd finally be safe. If you're reading this and you've been asked to be honest and punished for honesty, if you've learned that truth-telling is dangerous even when truth is requested, if you've started lying to avoid punishment for truth, if you've realized that honesty requests are traps, you're not failing in honesty. You're succeeding at seeing the trap, and the trap isn't your fault. And you can't be honest enough to make dishonest requests genuine. If this resonated, if you've been punished for honesty someone claimed to want, the next video is crucial. It's called "I Said Thank You." He exploded. It's about what happens when you say something completely normal, something universally polite, something as simple as thank you, and it triggers rage. Not because you said it wrong, not because your tone was off, but because even basic courtesy, even normal politeness somehow becomes crime, somehow becomes proof you don't understand relationship, somehow becomes trigger for explosion you never saw coming. Link is on screen now.